Greetings, my name is Dwayne, and I get a lot of people that ask me if I have a pattern for a Santa hat. And over the years, I've just developed a way that I make my Santa hats. I really don't have a pattern. So what I'm going to do is show you how I make them. I'll give you the measurements and everything because I do a simple hat, and I do it to attach to the coat and the arms, everything above there. But you can also, if you're just doing a simple gnome, just your body, the beard, you can also do this for the hat too. And it is my basic hat base that I do. Now, first off, I'm going to use a fleece material in the example here. I like the fleece. I like the different colors it comes in. I like the different patterns it comes in. I also like that I have some stretchiness to it in the fleece. Now, there are lots of other materials that you can use. And I'm going to show you a couple different ones here. This is a velvety material. It's a real nice shiny material, makes a nice great Santa hat. And again, I got a lot of stretchiness in here. And the reason I like the stretchiness is because you can get over all different types of gnomes, no matter if it's even a cone gnome, if it's a pool noodle, however you're making it. And that's what I want to show you is however you're making your hat, it can fit on to any type of gnome that you make, or if you accessorize. Here I'm going to be covering the coat, as I said, the trim on the coat, the beard, the top. So I got a little bit wider here than just a regular gnome head here if I'm just going to cover that without adding the arms or the coat. So sometimes I might need something just a little bit stretchier there, but I want to stick with the same dimensions that I'm using. Also with a cone, it gets a little bit narrower here. I'm going to show you how I adjust to put on a cone there too. But it don't matter what type of body you're using, you can use the same simple hat for. Now you can also use fabrics in it too. There's a lot of great holiday fabrics out there, a lot of great colors and everything. The only problem I have with the fabrics is, number one, they don't stretch, and number two, you do get a lot of the fraying. Now I will show you too how I take care of the fraying on that, because I love some of the colors and some of the fabrics here that too to make different hats. So you can make all different kinds of hats, all different kinds of Santa hats out of different types of materials using the things that you have. I'll use sometimes a sweater or a sock, but I try to stick with the same basic cutout. And what I do with that, I'm going to grab actually one of my pieces of felt because it's easier. It's what most people have right away. So even if you haven't gone out and got fleece, chances are you have your 9x12 piece of felt. I take my coat pattern, fold over my felt. Now my bottom of my coat pattern is 4.5 inches. The base of my body, my basic body, is 5.5 inches, just to give you dimensions here. And you know, you got a slant going up here. What I do is I'm going to be cutting out almost the same thing as my coat, except I go that extra 1/2 inch. I go to 5 inches. Now I'm going to do the same thing whether I'm doing with the felt, if I'm doing with fleece, if I'm doing with fabric. I'm going to be going to that 5 inches there. I can get my ruler out and measure, but I've folded over just a little bit there, so I'm going about a 1/2 inch there. And it also can be just a little bit more if you're trying to do a little bit bigger gnome. And then I go up 9 inches, which my piece of felt here's 9 inches. That's another reason why I chose the felt for the example, was just to go up 9 inches. You can take that off by now because I'm going up towards the corner there. And I like to round it off just a little bit. I don't like to go straight to a point, because when I sew it together or when I glue it together coming out, I'm going to have a little bit extra there. So for my measurements, I'm looking at 5 inches across the bottom, and then 9 inches going up. Now, if I want to make something that's going to be a little bit smaller, if I want to have a hat that's going to be sitting up, because most of my gnomes, if you look at them, the hat curves down. And that's what I'm going to make with this one here, is a hat that actually curves over to the side to cover up the seam. You can make that down to like 7 inches. 7 would probably be about the best. So it would be a hat that stands straight up. I want to curve my hat over, so I make it the 9 inches. If I really want to make something long, which I've done before, just to have a lot of real character to it coming down, I'm going to use my fleece, and I'm going to cut that out to probably about 11 or 12 inches, so I have a longer hat coming down. And we'll go over that in a moment here too, so we can see the length of that. So here I have my basic hat cut out. And again, as I said, this is just the basic, so I can use this on any of my gnomes. And again, I can do anything here sewing or with the hot glue. So for the example here, I'm going to use the hot glue to show you. I do have a couple other ones already sewn up here. And I'm just running my inseam here with the hot glue. Get a number of people asking, well, how far do you go in? What do you most of my stuff, either when I'm sewing it or when I'm doing hot glue, is about 1/8 of an inch that I'm going in. Make sure I get my top there. Looks good. And then, of course, we're going to turn it inside out. So that's going to give me my basic hat, my basic size, basic shape for my hat. And as I said, I can use that for any of my gnomes. It doesn't even have to be a Santa gnome. Here's what makes it the Santa gnome. I'm going to get into my fleece. Like I said, I've done the same thing here with the fleece. Actually, this one I sewed up the side there for a seam. And we're going to put it on Mr. Santa's head here. And what I do, so I'm putting it over top. Sometimes I like to roll just a little bit down at the bottom there. So it's giving me a seam there, just to give me an idea there how it looks. And I'm going to give it the fold over. That's what I was talking about as far as a fold over when I do my hats. You can do your hat so it stays straight up. That's why I said I would like to do more of a 7-inch if I'm doing a straight up, because I don't want the whole gnome to be mostly hat up there. But I like to do a fold over. So we're going to put the hat on just to see how it fits here, and then fold it over. And this is where I was saying you could fold it over however you like. I like to fold it over just normally to the top here, but if you make it longer, if you do like the 10 to 12 inches, you can bring it down farther, and it gives a great look to do that. I know a lot of gnome makers that do that. They like to bring it down most of the way down to the coat, sometimes even down to the feet there, just to give it some real character. So now that I have my hat made, and I know I'm going to be folding it over, I'm going to add some polyfill to it. I'm not going to stuff all the way up into it. If I were doing the hat that goes straight up, I would polyfill the whole way. I would go all the way up to the top here. Here I want to go about halfway up because I'm doing that fold over. Because I want to be able to fold it over there, but still have that be a sturdy hat there. Now, as I said before, I'm going to show you here, doing the fabric. I cut this out, a piece of the fabric. This was actually an old curtain. And I got all this fraying going on. So what I would normally do is cut off the fraying as much as I can. I know it's going to fray a little bit there. Get that cut off. And then I make a seam. I roll it over. Add a little bit of glue. Tuck that in, so I'm making a seam, so I'm no longer getting that frayed edge. This is the part too where I put the body down there. If I'm using something that I'm going to have like a wider base to it, like my woodland gnomes or my gnome home pattern, any of the patterns where it's going to be larger, and you can see the fraying's already starting again. I'm going to go use the base of the body. So like the 5.5 inches, I might make my body, make the bottom part of my hat just a little bit wider because I don't have all that real stretch in the fabric. Another thing I want to do is I don't want to put my glue too far down into the hat. I want it just enough to make a seam here to cover that. And the reason for that, and I like to tell you why I do things, the reason for that is if I glue it too far, I'm going to get this, you'll feel it heavier in there, heavier and bulkier. And what I'm going to be doing is covering with my fur on here, with either fur or yarn. This is actually a yarn. I'm going to be covering that. So as I have this, it's a stiffer, harder from the glue, it'll cover that. If I put it up higher, I'm still going to get that hardness in there. So I want to make sure I'm just doing about a 1/2 inch seam on the inside there. So you got about a 1/2 inch seam. That way you're no longer getting fraying on your material. But again, on the fabric, you don't have as much stretch. So that's why I stick with basically the fleece. Now I have made several out of this material here. This is a sentimental piece for me of material. That's why I have a ton of it, and I use this for making several of my gnomes and making some of my Santa gnomes last year. So it gives me a little opportunity there to do other things with that. But let's go back to our fleece here. We've put our stuffing inside there. If I'm making a straight up, I'll put my seam in the back. If I'm making it where I'm going to be flopping over to the side, I'll put the seam on the side. That way I'm covering my seam. So let's set our Santa gnome up here. We're going to cover them up. As I said, I'd like to give them a little bit of character there. Make sure I'm covering my arms there, covering my back. And then we'll start by just adding a little bit of glue. We roll this up, roll up the back, add just a little bit. Again, I'm going in about 1/2 inch, if that. Putting my glue on, and then carefully rolling that down. And pressing it on there. And I'll just go around. Now I know I'll get a lot of people asking about this white here, so I'm going to get into that in just a moment here. A couple options you can do as far as the trim there. And that's the big thing. Once people have the size, the next thing they want to know, okay, what are you trimming with? And we'll go into that once I get glued around here, just to show you. It's a simple yarn. It's a yarn that I get from Hobby Lobby, actually, and I've actually seen it, same type of yarn at Joann's. And I've had people tell me that they've actually ordered it off of Etsy and Amazon for the same type of yarn too. And my Hobby Lobby at least carries a ton of the yarn all year round. It's a huge ball here called Eternal Bliss. I get it in the white for this project here. They have many, many, many different colors. They have the browns, they have the off-white, the cream, they have, you name it, blues, greens. I have them for several different ones. And you saw how big that was. That's going to last me forever type of thing. But that's what I use for my trim. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab out some of it here. So once I have my hat glued in position there, I'm going to start where my seam is again. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm I'm going to use that yarn, and I'm going to glue. Again, I'm going in about 1/8 of an inch on there. I don't want to go too high, don't want to go too low. If I go too low, I get into my beard, I get into everything. If I go too high, then I'm not covering the bottom down there, and I'm getting glue messy. So take your time, come around. And this is the big trick that makes it into the Santa hat here. Other than that, it's just my regular hat. We're going to go around. You can already see him coming together there. The faux furs I get a lot of them on Amazon. I go searching Amazon and just try to find things that I like in the furs there. I know Joann's has a variety of them, but not usually as many different colors or as. And also, you got to be careful too when you're buying them from the regular stores too, that a lot of them like to cut rather than rip them or cut the backing of them. I've had to teach some of them how to do that because you don't want to lose the whole bottom of your fur there for the faux fur, for the beards and the mustaches. So be careful there. If you are questioning about, okay, where do you get the faux fur from for the beards? Those, again, I usually look on Amazon, spend a little time, just put in faux fur, and you'll get a variety of different things, Mongolian furs, alpaca furs, several different ones, and just look for a type of color that you like. There are some people that do just like gnome splotches too. They'll give you something that's just a small square, not gnome, but fur splotches. So you can get just little pieces to try out too, and decide if you like them, and also, see if you like the colors too, but you can make several beards out of those. I'll usually buy by the yard though. I know I'm going to be doing a number of gnomes, and so I'll buy a yard, which most of the time does pretty well. A couple times I've gotten some that the backings weren't that great, so I've used them for other projects, or they weren't as long pile as I thought they were going to be. So go with reputable ones, and you'll find most of them pretty much about the same price as you're going through it too. So here I've attached to my Santa hat, and this is where I do my flop down. I have my seam here, so I'm bringing that down, and I like to bring it right to about where I brought my trim on there. And what I'm going to do is just glue right along the seam. Again, I'm trying to cover my seam and also give it support. So I've added my glue. Just give it a tight little pinch there. Fold it over. Hold it down. And then here's where, if you have a pom-pom, you could add a pom-pom. And again, almost any size. It's great that, with the Santa, you could have a large one just for character. You can do a small one. Most of the time, what I'll do is I'll just cut off a little piece of my fur here. Either ball it up a little bit, glue a piece on there, have that as my pom-pom there. So once that's glued down, like I said, I'll just cut a piece off, glue that on there, and wrap it around. And sometimes you get some fraying at the end here, so just pull that off. And just gonna glue that onto the end. As I said, you can make this hat for the cone gnomes, the pool noodle gnomes, any type of gnomes. It's a simple hat there. Now, if you are making something, want to make something a little bit wider, again, just adjust that base inch, the base down there. Like I said, I do 5 inches, and I like to have a material that'll stretch a little bit so I can fit over my coat and my arms there. Just cover right there, but put right on there. If you do one and you find out, hey, it is just a little bit tighter or snugger than you want, adjust that. Make it 5.5 inches, go up to 6 inches. If you do that and you say you've gone up to 5.5, 6 inches, and it seems like that's a little bit too much. So let's say you've done too much, and now you've covered up your gnome. This is just for fun here. What I do is I roll that up. Just roll the inside. That's why I stick with my 5 inches, even if it's a stretchy material. And that way when I roll it up, then I still can put it on there. So even if I have to roll an inch in there, that's fine, because I'm going to be putting my polyfill in there too. So that just gives me some added cover in there. But it also gives me a universal that if I'm making 4, 5, 6 gnomes at a time, if I'm trying to make Santa gnomes and everything, and I want to do a variety, and I want to sometimes use my cones, sometimes use my gnome body with the felt, I have a variety of different ways of making the same hat and then just changing it a little bit. And speaking changing a little bit too, if you don't want to use the yarn to make your hat there, you can also use the faux fur. Faux fur, what I'd like to do is a small pile faux fur. Here we have the long pile for our beards. You can also pick up at like Joann's, definitely, or online, just a short pile faux fur. And this here is great. And all I do is cut along, make a little strip. I cut the back of it, so be very careful. And I'll cut the back about 3/4 of an inch to make it, 3/4 of an inch to an inch to make for my trim. And then I'll glue that on as my trim. So this gives it more of a fur look to it. So you know, this is a little bit more time consuming to cut that, measure it and cut for about an inch and quarter, you know, 3/4 inch and an inch on there. But it gives a great look too, for the fur look on there. So that's what I would recommend as far as going with the yarn or a short pile fur, which again, you could pick up online, Amazon, Etsy, Joann's, either way. And then from there, it's basically accessorizing how you want. I've seen a lot of people doing some great things with the sleds that they're getting now. Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, a lot of them just adding them on for character. Picks, adding some of the floral picks on the hat, or next to them, a character, Gnome holding on to it. So there's a ton of different things that you can do with your Santa there. What I wanted to do is just show you how I make my basic simple Santa hat here. And I hope that helps out. Hope that gives you ideas as far as how to make that. And again, I'm just trying to give you the basics so you can take the basics and then grow from there and do what you can do with your gnomes and make them come out beautiful. And look forward to seeing what you guys create. Thank you.